Hello, hello. Thank you so much for coming your way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God richly bless you, each and every one. We are live. We are on the social media platform, on your Facebook, on your Instagram, on YouTube, on the Twitter, on LinkedIn. We are on the social media, all the social media platform. Thank you so much for coming your way once again. God richly bless you. God richly bless you. For the past weeks, we'll be talking about the book entitled Brokenness. Book entitled Brokenness. This is the copy of the book Brokenness, written by Alexander Apia Boateng. I am the author of the book Brokenness. Grab your copy at Amazon. Type in the word brokenness and search by my name, Alexander Apia Boateng. It's at Amazon. Grab a copy. It's going to be a blessing to your life. It's going to be a blessing to someone. So grab a copy for your friend, grab a copy for your family, and it's going to help someone. It's going to make an impact to someone's life. Type in the word brokenness and search by my name, Alexander Apia Boateng. It's at Amazon. Grab a copy. For the past week, we were talking about the chapters of the book Brokenness. And last week, we talked about chapter 2. Chapter 2 was a very exciting topic, a very, very exciting topic. Chapter 2 was coming from the depth of my heart. And the title is Embrace Pain. Embrace Pain. Make friend with pain. I know it doesn't make sense. How can I make friend with pain? But we learned that it is essential, it is important that you make friend with pain. Because as you are walking on the corridor of this earth, definitely you are going to be hurt. Definitely pain is going to come in your way. Definitely disappointment, rejection will come in your way. Your heart will be broken as you are walking on this corridor of this earth. One way or the other, somebody is going to hurt you, or you're going to hurt somebody. So it's possible. It's possible. So what can you do? What can you do? So we learned that make friends with pain. Those disappointment may come, those rejection may come, those emotional pain may come. Make friends with it and move on, and move on, and move on in life. So we learned that make friends with pain is very, very essential in our life, that we should contain it and move on in our life. We should not dwell so much on the pain. We should not dwell so much on that disappointment and the rejection that comes in our way, but rather we should embrace it, contain it, hold it, and move on in life. Move on to the purpose that God has assigned for you. Move on to the destiny that God has prepared for you. So make friends with pain is very, very important. We learn something that we must embrace pain, and burn it as a fuel in our journey. We must embrace it, contain it, hold it, and burn it as a fuel for our journey. So never allow the pain to push you back, to hold you back, to depress you, to hold hostage in your life, but rather embrace it, contain it, and move on in life. Burn it as a fuel and move on in life. We also learn that pain shape the life of a life to become a mature Christian. All right. So pain shaped our life to become a mature Christian. So as we are growing in our Christian life, pain and rejection may come, but rather let that pain and rejection shape you to become a mature Christian, shape you to become better, shape you to love God deeply, shape you to know the nature of God in your life. So not let that pain hold you as hostage, hold you, contain you, so that it may push you back, but rather let that pain move you forward to love God, move you forward to become better. We also learned that purpose make pain bearable. And I love that word. I love that word. It came from my father, Bishop Franco Fosapia. He says, purpose make pain bearable. I love it so much because if you are focused in life and you know the purpose that you are going, pain become a container. You bear it and you move on to become better. Never settle so much. Never settle so much at the pain and the disappointment and the rejection that comes in your life, but rather contain it, hold it, bear it, and move on to achieve the purpose that God have assigned for you. We talk a lot about chapter 2. Chapter 2 is a depth of my heart that we must embrace it and move on in our life. Embrace that disappointment, embrace that rejection, embrace that pain, embrace that brokenness, and move on in life. Let your purpose define you to move on in life. Let your purpose define you to be able to press on, to love God, and to move on in life. Today we are going to talk about chapter 3. Chapter 3, we talk about the internal struggle or the internal challenges that we go through when we are disappointed. Internal struggle that we go through when we are broken. Internal struggle that we go through when we are rejected. Internal struggle that we go through when we are emotionally disappointed or we are in emotional pain. What do we do? What do we do internally? What do we do internally? We're going to look at that in chapter 3. Thank you so much. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. So if you don't have the copy, grab a copy entitled Brokenness. Brokenness by Alexander Piabotin, and it's going to be a blessing to someone. So chapter 3 of the book entitled Brokenness, it talk about internal challenges. Internal challenges. And the quote here from Dr. Sam Cham, he says, you will grow only to the threshold of your pain. You will grow only to the threshold of your pain. You grow only to the threshold of your pain. So pain, it becomes part of our life for our growth. Pain becomes part of our life for our growth. So never settle so much on that pain. Don't let that pain drain you, push you back. Don't let that pain make you to speak evil. Don't let that pain make you to pay back evil upon evil. But rather let that pain let you to move on to become mature Christian. Let that pain move you to be able to achieve the purpose that God has assigned for you to be better. Thank you. And I know somebody's going to shout amen to that. So people cope with pain in different ways. People cope with pain in a different ways. We are still on chapter 3 entitled Internal Challenges. Internal challenges. So I've learned in life that people go through or people cope with pain in different ways. In different ways. Some cope with pain by they become more driven and active to control people and situation. And I've realized that some people cope with pain by one way or the other trying to control people and the situation. And others also cope with pain by withdrawing emotionally, withdrawing physically to avoid conflict. I see that in so many ways. I see that in so many ways. I'm not saying each of these ways that we cope with pain is bad or good, but all depends on the situation. To my own opinion, all depends on the situation. If the situation comes in a way for you to withdraw emotionally, for you to withdraw physically, to avoid conflict, it depends on the situation. So whichever better for the situation is what we are talking about. So people cope with pain or cope with brokenness in a different way. Some are more driven emotionally. Some are more active, and they intend to control others. They intend to control the situation, and I've seen that a lot in most of the people that I see. They rather try to control others, control the situation, and some also withdraw by emotionally or physical withdrawal to avoid conflict. Each and everyone have the way of coping with pain. Everybody have the way of coping with pain. But like I said, what you chose to control that pain, let it be something that would drive you to the love of God, to the grace of God, for you to be able to achieve the purpose that God have assigned for you. So that is right. So let's look at some of the signs of stress that comes. The signs of stress. We are talking about the internal challenges. The signs of stress that comes when we are going through difficulties. The signs of stress when we are going through disappointment. The signs of stress when we are being rejected or we are going through emotional brokenness. Some of them are emotional. Some of them are emotional, and some of them feel hopelessness. All the hope is gone. Their confidence, their trust is gone. They lost their hope. Emotionally, we go through that, or some people go through that, and then some of them also feel isolated. They try to go all by themselves. They isolate themselves from the crowd. They isolate themselves from the family. They isolate themselves from people. They walk alone. They walk alone. They walk alone. So these are some of the emotional struggle that we go through when we go through difficulties or emotional brokenness. Some of them also become moody. You ask them what is wrong. Nothing, nothing. The facial gesture shows that there's something wrong, but rather when you ask them what is going on, they are not able to tell you. They become so moody. They can't see their natural smile. They are irritated of little things. So that is some of the emotional things that we go through, and some also internally our behavior change. We change our behavior. Some also happen to eat too much when they are going through their stress, their difficult moment. People eat too much. Uh, some also eat little. So imbalance. Some people, when they are going to stress, they eat too much. Some too, when they are going to stress, what? They eat little. Some also, when they are going to stress, they sleep too much. They sleep too much. They spend time to sleep too much, and some also they sleep little, and some also try to take some medication to calm down in time of stress, in time of difficulties, in time of emotional issues. They try to take some medications. Some people also try to take drugs or taking an alcohol to be able to control their emotion. Some also go through drugs, alcohol to control their emotions, to put them to relax, some also try to neglect their normal responsibilities, like their normal routine of maybe get up and go to work. Some feel like they don't want to go to work. They are neglecting their normal responsibilities. Maybe they have to drop their kids at school. Sometimes they feel like they don't want to go. They don't want to do that. Some also not enjoying the things that make them pleasure. They don't want to enjoy the things that make them that bring pleasure in their life. They don't want to do that no more. So these are some of the behavior that people go through when they are going through emotional difficulties. These are the challenges, the internal challenges that they go through. Like I said, emotionally, some people feel hopeless. The hope is gone, and others too, they are isolated from people, from crowd, and some too feel moody, and then their behavior also change. They eat too much, or sometimes they eat less. They sleep too much, or sometimes they sleep less. There are some people also take medication. They take drugs, alcohol, to be able to calm them down. Some also neglect their normal responsibilities, and some people don't feel like doing what they love to do the most. Things that bring them pleasure, they don't want to do that no more. And some people also lack judgment, inability to concentrate, these are some of the things that people go through. Some people have some stomach pain, stomach problems, headache, even loss of interest in sex, So these are some of the things that people go through. These are some of the signs that internally those going through emotional difficulties, they go through that. The lack of having interest in sex, they start to take some medication like alcohol, drugs to calm them down. Emotionally, their hope is gone. So if you encounter such a situation, or you know someone going through that, help that person, help that person, emotionally help that person. The very people that their hope is gone, try to restore hope in their life. Those that going through their behavior have changed. They sleep too much or less, they eat too much or less, or they are moody or those kind of things, or they lack judgment. Help them to come out with it. Help them to come out of that. So there are some common source of stress that comes through our pain. Common source of stress that comes through our brokenness. And that's a result of our pain and our brokenness. There are some common source. Let's list some few ones. Chapter 3, page 29. It talk about some few things that are very common or that can lead us to pain and brokenness. One of them is what? Confusion is part of it, especially when there is a high expectation of 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 that we have for our leaders. There's a high expectation that we have for our leaders. So leaders become a victim when the followers have a high expectation of them. They have outstanding excellency. They have spiritual highest that they place on their leaders. So it becomes difficult for the leader to contend that when there's a big expectation placed on the leader. Sometimes it becomes a victim for the leader to bear it. So the leader cannot bear the expectation that they put on them. That is why, as a leader, you always have to let the people know that you are human. You are human. You are human. Out of the spirituality, you are also human. Out of the pulpit, you are also a human. So when there is a high expectation placed on a leader, it becomes very, very difficult for the leader to contain that expectation, and the slight mistake can burn out the leader, and the leader will be frustrated, and the leader will be disappointed, and the leader will find it very difficult to be able to achieve the purpose that God have assigned for the leader. So as a leader, you are also a human, and followers' expectations should not burn you out. Followers' expectations should not stress you out, but rather it will help you to move on to become a successful leader. I have a quote here. It said, "Those in leadership become victims of this high expectation from followers because they want them to be outstanding. They want them to be excellent spiritually. They want them to lead them." So that expectation of the followers sometimes burn out the leader, and that bring out the pain, that bring out the disappointment, that bring out the rejection and the brokenness for the leader to bear. And then the second one I will talk about is compassion. Compassion is, let me read from here. It says, loving others make Christ completely vulnerable to the point of death. Loving others make Christ completely vulnerable to the point of death. So that's where I have the quote here. Let me pick up this one. All right. It says, the greater pain comes from living what you love the most. Living what you love the most. So when loving someone sometimes become We go through some greater suffering for loving someone. We go through some pain of loving someone. That's why it says, so loving others make Christ completely vulnerable to the point of death. To the point of death. So anytime we make a decision to love someone, we open ourselves to a great suffering. We open ourselves to contain some pain, because the very people that we love, they are the one who hurt us the most. Let me say it again. The very people that we love, they are the one who hurt us the most. So when we happen to run away from the pain that comes by loving someone, that is where we are going to get that stress. The pain will increase, and we are going to be disappointed. We are going to be disappointed. So we love. It says, well, those we love cause us not only great joy, but also great pain. Those we love cause us not only great joy, but also great pain. Let me say it again. Those we love cause us not only great joy, but also great pain. So those we love sometimes cause us the great pain. And when that pain comes and you happen to run away, you happen to withdraw yourself, you are rather multiplying the pain. The internal struggle will be on you, because the people that you love the most, they are part of you. They are the expression of your love. So when you run away from that expression because of pain and rejection, you are multiplying that pain. You are rather causing a greater pain to yourself. So rather stay and continue to love the very people that cause you pain. In so doing, it is shaping you the way you should love them the better. The way it should shape you to love them better. So don't run away. I put this example, like if you love your ministry, the purpose that God have assigned for you, the assignment that God have placed for you, and out of pain, out of rejection, and you decided to run away from that purpose, run away from that ministry, and start to do something else, you are rather what multiplying that pain. If by rejection cause you to run away from what you love the most, you are rather what multiply that pain in you, because the inner will struggle to love what is assigned for you. The inner will be struggle to love the people that you love the most. So if pain led you to run away from that, you are rather what multiply that pain. Never run away from the things that you love the most. Never run away from the things or the people that you love the most, but rather don't ever look at the pain, don't ever look at the disappointment, so that you to cause you to run away, but rather love them, love them, love them. Continue to love them, although it hurts, although it's painful. Continue to love them. It's like your child or your children at home. You love them so much from your heart. For Christ loved his people that he gave his only begotten son. You love them. You love your children. You love the children. But sometimes, one way or the other, they're going to cause you that pain. One way or the other, it's going to cause you that disappointment. Will you have to run away from your child? Will you have to run away from your children? Will you have to distance yourself from your spouse? No, but rather show much love. In so doing, you are rather shaping yourself to be able to love them better. In so doing, you are rather getting mature to love them better. Never run away because pain have come. Never run away from your spouse. Never run away from the children because you are being rejected. You are being disappointed. Never run away from the very things that you love the most. Stay there and continue to express that love for them. In so doing, you are getting mature and you are understanding them better to love them well. So never run away. Love is stronger than fear. Love is stronger than fear, and life is greater than death. Hope is greater than depressed. We must always take the risk of loving one another. We must always take the risk of loving one another. Never run away. Never run away from your spouse. Never run away from your child because there is a rejection, because there is a pain, because there is a disappointment. Never run away. In so doing, you are multiplying that pain, but rather stay there, take the risk of loving them more and better. God richly bless you for that understanding. And the next point that we'll talk about is comparison and competition. Comparison and competition. There's nothing wrong with comparison. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with comparison. There is nothing wrong with competition. And I have it here. It says there is nothing wrong with comparing and competing with one another if it is motivated someone to be outstanding, if it's motivating you to express God's grace, motivating you to live life or to change life, motivating you to transform community, then there is nothing wrong with comparison. There is nothing wrong with competition. Let that competition and comparison motivate you to be outstanding. Let that competition or comparison makes you motivate you to express God's grace and change life or transform the community. In so doing, there's nothing wrong. But if the competition does not make you better, but rather create an anger in you and make you to envy one another, then there is something wrong. Then there is something wrong with that. So if competition makes you to eager you to not able to achieve what God has assigned for you, then there's something. I have something here. It said, do you feel threatened by the success of another? Do you celebrate when others are growing or receive applause? Do you feel superior to others? Is there a sense of sentiment when others are blessed? Do you secretly rejoice when a successful friend falls? If you answer yes to any of these questions, let me read those questions again. He said, do you feel threatened by the success of others? Do you feel threatened by success of others? If you answer yes, then your pride and insecurity is what you are fighting internally. He says the second question, do you celebrate when others are growing or receiving applause? Do you celebrate when others are growing or receiving applause? If you have a negative answer to that, then do not let your pride and your insecurity hinder you to achieve the purpose that God has assigned for you. And the third question is, you say, do you feel superior to others? Do you feel superior to others? If you're going through that, if you feel superior to others, then you are happy to control others, and your thought alone makes you insecure, then you are not living the purpose that God has assigned for you. And it says, do you secretly rejoice when a successful friend falls? Do you secretly rejoice when a successful friend falls? If you answer yes to that, then there is something wrong with your comparison and competition with one another. Because your good friend fall and you are rejoicing, that is not a good sign. So if you answer yes to any of the following questions, then you are driven by pride and insecurity. You are driven by pride and insecurity. Instead, let the pure and the sincere love of Christ reign in your life. Let the pure and the sincere love of Christ reign in your life. Never allow comparison or competition makes you feel insecure, make you feel proud, but rather let the pure and the sincere love of Christ dwell in you. And that is why your internal struggle always comes with Christ alone helping you, restoring you back to the purpose. So this book, Brokenness, is all about restoration. It's all about hope, bringing hope to your life once again. So your internal struggle, the moody, the isolation, the rejection, the loss of hope that you are going through you can't eat, you can't do your normal routine because you are going through internal struggle, um, internal difficulties, internal challenges. Let only Christ step in and bring back your hope. Let only Christ come in your way to restore you back to the original purpose that God has assigned for you. Never allow the pain and the struggle let you feel rejected. Bring your internal growth so that you may not able to see the grace of God in your life, but rather let hope in Christ restore you. Fill your heart with pure and sincere love of Christ to be able to move forward. Let me read a scripture from 2 Corinthians 11 verse 3. 2 Corinthians. Let me pull it up right quick. Praise God. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 3. All right. Grab it right here. 11 verse 3. It says, but I am afraid that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent cunning, your mind may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. He says, I am afraid, just as Eve was deceived by the serpent. And other version says, my thought may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. So sometimes your thoughts, whilst you are comparing or competing with one another, your thought alone may lead you astray. Your thought alone may lead you rejected. So, like I said, comparison is not wrong. Competition is not wrong. If it leads you to be outstanding, if it leads you to express the grace of God, if it leads you to change life, if it's leading you to transform life, then there's nothing wrong with that. But if comparison and competition lead you, then create some anger and enviness for one another, that you can't celebrate the success of another, that you can't celebrate the success of your friend, and you cannot embrace the growth of someone, then there is something wrong. That is what I am afraid, just as Eve was deceived by the serpent. Your thought may somehow be led astray from your sincere and your pure devotion to Christ. Your thought is very, very important. Your thought is very, very important. So never allow your thought create a lot of envy, a lot of jealousy for one another. In so doing, you are not helping yourself. You are struggling internally, and you need the love of God, the pure heart of God, the pure heart of love for God to reign in your life to be able to move on. And then the fourth point is unresolved pain from the past. Unresolved pain from the past. This is very, very important. So our internal struggle sometimes becomes unresolved pain from the past. Let me read the page 31 and say what it's talking about. It says, we are all products of our life experiences and backgrounds. We are all products of our life experiences and our background. For instance, a person raised from loving and supportive home has a solid foundation to excel in a relationship. For instance, a person raised from loving and supportive home has a solid foundation to excel in relationship. The possibility of such an individual raising their children to be good and successful is high. The possibility of such an individual raising their children to be good and successful is high. The reason is he or she has a point of reference. He or she has a point of reference. So it talk about we are all a product of our life experiences and our backgrounds. And he gave an example, which I think is the best an example. He says a person from a lovely and a supporting home has a solid foundation to excel in a relationship. All because the person have a point of reference. You see the dad and the mom in a lovely home. There's a lovely atmosphere. He was raised in a lovely atmosphere. He was raised in a very supportive home. That person will be able to raise the children successfully. The possibility of that person raise the children is very, very high. I know there is exception, but the possibility is very, very high because that person have a point of reference. When look at the home that was raised up, when look at the home of the parent, successful, supporting home, lovely home, you will be able to pour that same love and support to the children that the person raised because you have a point of reference. Let's go on. However, it is also possible that one can make a mess of their life, no matter how wonderful their parent or family may be. That's why I talk about this exception. But the possibility is high that that person may be able to raise the family in a lovely and a supportive home if that person is coming from a background of a lovely and a supporting home. But there's an exception, which I understand that. Let me continue. He said, pain has its own way of getting into someone's heart. Disappointment in a relationship, for instance, can have a wide range of destructive effects. Some people react to hate by withdrawing into their shell of self-protection. Let me read that again. It said, pain has its own way of getting into someone's heart. Disappointment in a relationship, for instance, has a wide range of destructive effects. Some people rather react to hate by withdrawing into a shell of self-protection. Others try to please others to win their approval. Others try to please others to win their approval. So, it's talking about pain have its own way to come into our hand. So those who have been through disappointment in a relationship, they have a wide range of defects in their life. And therefore, they happen to withdraw for self-protection. Others also happen to please others to be able to win their approval. So these are all the unresolved pain from the past. The person has been disappointed before. The person has a bad relationship before. And therefore, you have two choices. Either to become a self-protected or able to live life to please others for their approval. These are the internal struggle that we go through. These are the internal struggle that we go through. So it becomes very, very difficult to get along with such a person. Let me continue. Oftentimes, such people are inclined to please others or win the approval of others in most situations. So somebody who has been disappointed in a relationship, who is living life to win the approval of others, or in most situations, able to get approval of acceptance from someone else, all his life is trying to get approval because that person have unresolved pain from the past. So he's trying to live life for the approval of others. And when you are living life for the approval or the acceptance of others, in one way or the other, it's going to hurt you the most. It's going to hurt you again because you have unresolved pain that you have to deal with. Unresolved pain that you have to deal with. So in so doing, the person will revolt. When that second pain comes, because he's trying to get the approval or acceptance from others, and he gets hurt again, that person feels self-pity, self-destruction, and that is where the internal struggle comes in. So when someone going through that place, all that we have to do is to show love for the other person. To show love for the other person. Let me take a short break, and then we'll come back and talk about the other points. So let's take a short break. While I'll come back in your way. God richly bless you. God richly bless you. Hold on for me, and I'll get back with you. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's continue with that. Sorry about the break. So the fifth point I will talk about, as we talk before we went for that break, we talk about that unresolved pain from the past. Unresolved pain from the past. So someone who have been disappointed, broken before, in the past, that person have two things: either for self-protection, so that he will not be hurt again, protecting himself among his peers, among the person he love again, or whatever. That person becomes self-protected. And then the second option is that person also living a life to win the approval or to win the acceptance of the other person. When the person is going through that, he still have unresolved pain from the past. Unresolved pain from the past. Let's talk about the few one. The fifth point. The fifth point is talk about when the past overwhelm. When the pain overwhelm. When the pain overwhelm. Let me read that. So it says some high profile leaders have presented problem-free image to Christians with their lavish lifestyle when we walk with God. Let me read that again. It says, some high-profile leaders have presented problem-free image to Christians with their lifestyle that when one walk with God, everything is going to be smooth and problem-free. That is not guaranteed. That is not guaranteed. So whatever puppet, whatever altar, whatever leader telling you that when we become a Christian, we become problem-free, that is not true. Because the Bible have made me to understand that God is with us in our good and in our bad times. So when we are in the bad time, God is still with us. When we go through that difficulties, that rejection and that challenges of life, God is with us. Being a Christian does not shield you from disappointed. Being a Christian does not shield you from rejection. Being a Christian does not shield you that you are not going to be hurt. As much as you walk in the corridor of this earth, you are going to be disappointed. You are going to get hurt. You are going to be rejected. In so doing, God is with you. God is with you. So let's continue. It says, this has created false expectation among some new Christians that they will always solve over problems. So those messages from the high-profile leaders have become a false expectation, mostly for new Christians, that when they come to Christ, everything is going to line up. Similarly, people also have the impression that when I get married, my life is okay. Oh, my life is okay. My life will be okay. Oh, my life, I will get all this. All the money will come. Oh, the smile, the love will be there. Everything is going to line up. My husband is going to line up. My wife is going to line up. There will be joy in the home. There will be this in the home. There will be this in the home. Oh, bank account will flourish because we have a double income. Or things will come. I'll get my sister. I will do this when I get married. Yes, all those expectations are good. All those expectations are good. I understand that. But remember, those expectations create a high demand from us. And that is where we will be disappointed. That is where we will be rejected. So have in mind that God is with you. No matter what you do, God is with you. In your successful marriage, in your mature Christianity, God is with you. When you walk through the pain, when you walk through the difficulties, God is there with you. Never allow those high expectations condemn you. I'm not saying that high expectation is not good. It is good. But when you fall from that high expectation, God is still with you. When that expectation is not granted, that expectation do not come to light, God is still with you. Never throw in the towel. Never run away from the marriage because the expectation have not been met. God is there with you. You never know. Tomorrow will be successful than today. Tomorrow will be greater than today. The hope is there. The hope is there. So rely on the purposes of God. Rely on the vow that you made to one another. Hold on to that marriage. Hold on to that expectation. And God will come in that way. Never let that pain and disappointment weighs you up. Let's read a scripture from Psalm 73 verse 21. Psalm 73 verse 21. Let me read it here. It says, when my heart was grave and my heart is embittered, I was senseless and arrogant. I was beast before you, yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will take me to glory. I love what David said. He says, yet I am with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel. So when those disappointment comes and those rejection come, when those pain and brokenness comes in our way, remember we should still walk with God. David says, I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel. That should be the way that will encourage us. That those disappointments, when it overwhelms us, when it's beyond our control, God is still with us. God is still with us. God is still with us. I have a quote here. It says what? Perfectionism creates unrealistic expectations, which eventually produce self-condemnation or self-doubt. Let's dive a little bit into this. It says perfectionism creates unrealistic expectations, which eventually produce self-condemnation or self-doubt. We are living a life to be perfect, yes, but perfection creates unrealistic expectation, which eventually can create self-doubt. You may even doubt yourself because we are not able to achieve perfection. We are not able to achieve perfection. So expectations are great. Understand that. Perfectionism is a good thing, but sometimes it creates condemnation. It creates doubt in us. It creates doubt in us. So like I said, when that expectation do not come to life, when you are not able to achieve that expectation, when the marriage do not fall on your expectation, God is still with you. David said it better. He says, "So I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You counsel me. You guide me with your counsel. You guide me with your counsel." So let God guide you with his counsel. And it says, afterward, You will take me to the glory. You will take me into the glory. So when those expectations do not come to life, hold on God. Rely on God. God will take you into the glory. God will take you into the glory. So let's rely on God, but not our perfection. Let's rely on God and not our perfection. Let God reign in our hand. So perfection is good, but let God speak on our behalf. There's one thing that I've learned, that God never wastes our pain. God never wastes our pain. So whatever that you are going through, whatever be the situation, God is still there with you. God is there with you in your disappointment. God is still there with you in your pain. God is still there with you. Never, never throw in the towel. God will never waste your pain. God will move you into your glory. So that is chapter 3. And next week we're going to talk about chapter 4. And chapter 4 talk about the external challenges. Today we have just looked at for the internal challenges. And we have learned a lot about that. And one thing I'll end here by saying, God never wastes our pain. God never wastes our pain. Rely on God, depend on God for God to restore you, for God to bring you back to the glory, for God to restore you back to the destiny that you have assigned you to be. God never wastes your pain. Whatever the rejection may be, whatever that pain may be, whatever the emotional drama may be, God never wastes your pain. God never wastes whatever that you are going through. He's pushing you to your glory. He's pushing you to your glory. Never throw in the towel. Rely on God, and God will speak on your behalf. My name is Alex. I'm the author of the book Brokenness. Grab a copy at Amazon. Type in the word brokenness and said by Alexander Piabotin, and it's going to be a blessing in your life. So we end here today, chapter 3. Next week we're going to talk about chapter 4. We'll talk about the external challenges, and it's going to be a blessing to our life. Thank you so much for coming your way. My name is Alex, and then remember, God never wastes our pain. Thank you. Have a blessed day.